What's up, guys? I'm Mike from StockedUp, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have a ton of very, very important news to go over in today's video. The market had a pretty crazy day with the Dow breaking all-time highs of around 33,227, and then we saw the NASDAQ down about 3%. We saw a lot of tech stocks get crushed, with Tesla down around 7%, Apple down about 3.5%. So in this video, we're going to be explaining what happened in the market today, some other important news, and at the end of the video, we have a $6.5 million trade that expires tomorrow. So make sure to stick around for that. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. But with that being said, Tom, what happened in the market today?
Yeah, CNBC reports that stocks fall as higher rates knock down tech shares, and the NASDAQ drops 2.5%, and the market pulled a complete 180 from the movement that we saw yesterday after Powell spoke. And the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite dropped 2.5%, with Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, and Facebook all falling at least 2%. Tesla fell by more than 5%, and the S&P 500 fell by 1.1%. And this is just crazy stuff to see. And guys, this is all because of the rates today mostly. That's what really affected the markets. And we can see that banks, though, did quite well, with Citigroup actually going up in the morning and JP Morgan actually going up, but they did end up falling off towards the end of the day, as did a lot of stocks.
Gotcha. So the main reason people are saying the market fell today are because of the rates. So if you're someone who's a little bit confused when, CNBC or even our videos are mentioning rates, rates are very important. And I made a great video on how rates work. It was a video I made about a week ago. But basically, if you're pretty confused on it, you can just go over to TLT. This ETF tracks rates. So when you see TLT falling, it means rates are rising. In general, when rates rise, it's bad for the market. So you could just know if TLT is going down, it means rates are going up, and stocks normally don't like that, especially tech stocks. So if you see TLT falling, most of the time you could also expect a fall from tech stocks.
Yeah, and we've actually been seeing TLT on a daily level been going pretty low over the past few months, and it seems like the overall market has generally still been going up, so it's almost looking like the market could start to pull back at any time, just given how low rates have been going.
For sure. And then, Tom, I know a lot of people are really hyping up what's going on tomorrow, which is quad witching. And I know a lot of YouTubers, even CNBC, are really just talking about tomorrow. And basically, we're going to see a lot of options and futures expire tomorrow. So expect a lot of liquidity and a lot of volume tomorrow. But please keep in mind that does not always mean that there will be more volatility. There will be a lot of trading tomorrow, a lot of big institutions rolling over their contracts and positions. So we're going to see a lot of volume, but that does not necessarily mean that there's going to be a lot of volatility. There can be, but just, don't expect a lot of volatility just because we're seeing quad witching.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they get really stuck on the fact, they're like, guys, whenever quad witching happens, the market is going to go up, but that doesn't always happen, like Mike said. So you have to be very careful with thinking about trading whenever quad witching is going on, because it could, make the market move, it could not. So you kind of have to be careful and just feel it out.
Yep, and then just a quick little recap for everyone who doesn't really know too much about witching days. Basically, we have quad witching tomorrow, which is basically when stock index futures, stock index options, stock options, and single stock futures all expire on the same day. So that's why we're going to see that increased volume. But Tom, I was looking at RID today, and they actually kind of tanked. What's going on there?
Yeah, Lordstown Motors is actually getting in a pretty big thing with the SEC. CNBC reports that the SEC has actually requested information on them regarded by claims that a short seller said that the company misled investors, and they've accused them of using fake orders to raise capital for its first product, which is an all-electric pickup truck. So that's pretty big stuff to hear. They're down 12%. They had earnings yesterday after hours, so that they ended up moving down with that, and then this news just made a move even lower. And over the past few months, they've really been starting to really go down anyways. So it's not looking good for RIDE, and I hope that the rest of the EV sector does not look like this. But guys, just keep in mind they've been doing some shady stuff, and that's why they've been going down.
For sure. Well, let's get right into the member of the day and the momentum plays. So with today's member of the day, we have B YouTube. So he's always commenting on our videos. Great comments, great questions overall. So huge shout out to B YouTube. Thank you so much for the great comments. But with that being said, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And we have some pretty good ones today, Tom. So the first one we have AMD. Looks like a pretty solid setup to the downside if it can, continue tomorrow morning.
Yeah, definitely make it fall below the $78 support. It bounced right off of that at the end of the day.
All right, with the next one, we have Neo.
Yep, NIO. This one's also going to be to the downside. Make it break below the low of yesterday, which was 41.33.
All right, and then we have Snap.
SNAP, Snapchat. No, not CNAP, SNAP. There we go. Go ahead and make Snapchat fall below $58.
All right, and with the last one, we have ExxonMobil. Crude oil just got crushed today.
Yeah, it's been really getting crushed. Make it fall below 56.52. And I don't mean crude oil has been getting crushed. It's been going up, but over the past couple days, it's been getting crushed.
Sounds good. So we are eyeing all of these plays for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow, only if they can break below the levels Tom listed. But with that being said, let's get right into the $6.5 million trade for tomorrow. And we are looking at the Amazon 3,000 strike puts that expire tomorrow, March 19th. So looking at Amazon, it was down about 3.5% today, and I did a probability test on this specific option, and there's about a 30% chance of Amazon closing below $3,000 tomorrow. And honestly, I can see it. So I'll definitely have my eyes on Amazon for tomorrow. There's a good amount of money flowing into these weekly puts. And, if we do see Amazon continue down, these puts might really pop. Like I said, market makers are only expecting about a 30% chance of that happening, though. So overall, I'll just have it on my watch.
Yeah, and on the daily level, we've been talking about Amazon for quite a while, and it's actually been moving off of this longer term wedge. It looks like it just tried to pop back up, touch the wedge, and now it's starting to fall back down. So it looks like a bearish setup to me, and it definitely looks like it could hit 3,000 tomorrow. And like you said, these expire this week, so this person definitely, they're definitely either going to be taking good advantage of the time decay tomorrow, or they're hoping that it goes down tomorrow because there's not very much time left. So it's going to be pretty risky for them, and hopefully they know something and they think that Amazon's going to continue.
For sure. And before we get into the questions, I just want to cover, just more about the movement that we saw in the market today, especially with AMD. So I was looking at AMD a lot today. It fell about 5.5%, and it looks like it is, making not lower lows. It's making lower highs, which is typically a bearish sign. And, it looks like it has a pretty strong support right around $75. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we see AMD retest that level in the next couple days or, even next week or so. And I think there's a lot of different ways to play this potential move. One, if we see AMD, really downtrending tomorrow, we could always do like quick day trades, like day trades with puts. But also, if you're someone who really likes AMD for the long term, and let's say it gets to $75 tomorrow or next week, you can always do a cash secured put. Like let's say we look at like AMD cash secured puts right now, like the April 1st. Let's say 70 strike cash secured put right now is going for around $50. If we see AMD fall to around $75, like tomorrow or like Monday or Tuesday, this put might be worth around, let's say, $100 or so. So, what I'm trying to say is if we see AMD fall, that might be a good opportunity, one, for day trades with puts, but also, maybe to start scaling in for a long-term investment, whether that be with shares or cash secured puts, because just the other week, there were tons of great opportunities with cash secured puts because of the huge fall in tech stocks like CCIV and NIO were amazing. And if we see tech stocks continue to fall, I think we'll see another great opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity with AMD. If they fall below that $75 support, I'd be pretty careful. It looks like they have a pretty free range all the way down to $60 if they fall below that support. So definitely be on the lookout tomorrow. We're starting to come back down, like you said. So it's definitely going to be a good opportunity if they start to go down.
All right, well, let's get right into the questions from the previous episode. We have Bill saying, this has been my first year of trading, but I feel like I've seen 50 years worth of ups and downs, but it has never been boring. So, I don't disagree with you. We've seen a lot of crazy movement, a lot of volatility over the past year, a lot of crazy catalysts. And, there's a quote from Franklin D. Roosevelt. He said, "A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor." It's one of my favorite quotes. And If you can, trade when the markets are, the most unpredictable and they're, super crazy, it should be a lot easier to trade when we have a bull market. Everyone can, seem to be a genius when stocks are doing nothing but go up, but the true test is when the market gets really crazy. So, think about it this way. If you're trading when the market is super hard to predict, you should be able to do pretty well when the market, either trends up nicely or down nicely. So, great comment overall. With the next question, we have Sean saying, thanks for the great show. What do you think about SNDL and ACB? So these are two marijuana stocks. Overall, I really like the sector that they are in. I'm just saying personally, like if I'm going to invest in that sector, I would rather invest in like some of the leaders of that sector, like like CGC or APHA. Those are two that I like. ACB and SNDL, they're not bad. It's just my personal preference would be to invest in like one of the stronger companies, especially in like a growing sector like that. It's just my personal opinion. And, let's say you just want to get a mix of a bunch of different stocks like that. You can always just invest in the MJ ETF. Some of their holdings are GWPH, APHA, Tilray. We have CGC, GRON, GRWG. So I think that would probably be the best way to go to get like diversified, you could say, through the MJ ETF.
Yeah, and my favorite marijuana stock is actually PLNHF, which is called Planet 13 Holdings, and this is actually a marijuana store in like Las Vegas. So they are in the United States. So if it starts to become legal all over the place, they might start to expand, which is pretty good.
For sure. With the next question, we have Rich saying, "I love Mara for the long term, and I love flipping covered calls." So MARA. He said, "Thanks to what you guys teach, I've been able to generate $5,000 in income for the past 2 months, while still keeping his shares. Where do you see SPLK headed for the next 6 months? They seem to be very oversold right now." So that's awesome to hear with MARA. They have a very high implied volatility, which actually works perfect for you while you're selling covered calls. And on top of that, the fact that you still have your shares, that's just awesome to see. So great job on your end. But taking a look at SPLK, I do like them for the long term. Over the past couple months, they've really been pulling back. They went from about $100 all the way up to 225 back in March to what is that? You could say August of last year. They are pulling back around 133 right now. I think that 120 is a pretty good support, and I'd probably start to average in or get some cash secured puts right around that area.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good long-term opportunity, honestly. Pretty far off of highs, and there's just a lot of movement back to the upside here.
For sure. With the next question, we have Piper saying, "Thanks, guys. Can you give me your thoughts on MRVL for the short term and the long term?" It's a 5G play. So that is good to see. Overall, it looks to be doing pretty well. Their long term chart looks pretty good. Tom, do you have any like technicals or anything on this one?
Yeah, I think that there's a pretty good resistance around that $48 to $50 area that it hit off of. Now it's starting to go down. If all these tech stocks start to go down in the shorter term, expect Marvel to possibly follow them down. So just expect maybe that you might be able to pick up some shares at a discount over the next month or 2 months if we do see that downturn. But I do like it off the support around $40 if it starts to go down. So make it break below 40 before you do some cash secured puts, I think.
Sounds great. With the next question, we have Justin saying, "Great video, guys. I'm holding 1,000 shares of CTRM." He said, "What do you guys think about weed stocks for the rest of the year? I'm in SNDL and ACB looks very tempting for me, but I really wish I could afford tons of APHA. Any outlook on any of these for these stocks?" So overall, it looks pretty good. I really like the marijuana sector. I think there's a lot of room for growth, obviously, with the legalization side of it. But like we talked about a couple minutes ago, personally, I just like to invest in some of the leaders in the industry already. That's just my personal opinion. Like CGC and APHA are two good ones, but I really think you can't go wrong investing in MJ for the long term, MJ ETF. In the past year, they went from about $8 all the way up to highs of 34. And right now they're sitting around 23. So overall, I think that's going to be a pretty good long-term investment. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good longer term investment. As far as like the marijuana stocks go over this year, there more states obviously have to legalize it before the sector can really explode. Hopefully, on a federal level, they can start to legalize it, kind of like with the Democrats holding the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So that they said that that would help, the legalization process, but they haven't really talked about it too much yet, unfortunately. So we're just gonna have to see what goes on with the legislation, I think, over the next year or 2 years.
For sure. With the next question, we have Espejo saying, "Hey, Mike and Tom, great video again. What do you think about CCIV for the next 2 to 3 months?" So, CCIV is Lucid Motors. I like them for the long term. They look pretty good for the next 2 to 3 months, but there's a lot of variables with them. For the long term, I like them, but they are a little bit more risky than most other stocks. So I like them for the long term, but just keep in mind that they are a little bit risky. So keep that in mind, when sizing your position. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that they're eventually going to fill this gap back to the upside between like $35 and $50 eventually. But right now they were bouncing off the $20 support, which was actually pretty defined down here at 20, and they're starting to head back towards there. So if it falls below 20, definitely watch out for it to keep going down. But I think it might hold that level, and if it does get back to 20, that might be a good time to possibly get the shares or the cash secure puts. I do think it'll go up in the longer term, but it just depends on what happens over the next couple months.
Sounds great. With the last question, we have BUTube saying, "Hey guys, great show as always. What are your thoughts on SFT for the long term?" So personally, I'm not a huge fan of this one. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it. My favorite stock for the long term is DraftKings. I think they have a ton of growth potential, and I really like the way that they are moving. I would really like to average into them. Like if they fall, I would love to see DraftKings fall to $55 or even 50. I know I would definitely be selling puts on them and even averaging in shares. They are probably my favorite stock for the long term. I also like PENN, Zoom, NIO, some of the ARC ETFs, CGC, Palantir, Redfin. Those are some of my favorites. DraftKings is definitely one of my top ones.
And it's not your top one because you do sports gambling, right?
No, never, never. But yeah, what do you think of SFT?
Yeah, SFT, just the chart overall looks pretty bad. It went up to $14, and I just don't even know what to think about the chart over the past year. I mean, it swung up to 14, now it's all the way down around $8. So it's definitely been a pretty bad stock over the past couple years. If you know something fundamentally about it for the longer term, it might be a good investment. But just given what we're seeing on the charts, it's not looking too good. The bigger stocks that you'd want to get are like Boeing or KO or something like that. I think you have a lot more potential with those ones.
All right. Well, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market tomorrow? I know we actually had a pretty crazy day, especially looking at some of these top tech stocks. They definitely don't look amazing right now. And I think, if they continue to fall, we'll see a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah, I'm really going to be looking at like Apple and Microsoft to the downside. They're just not looking good. Like you said, the whole tech sector is going down. I love Microsoft to the downside off this 233 resistance here. It looks like it's moving off of it pretty significantly and falling right below the 1,000 SMA as well. If they fall below 230 tomorrow, I think Microsoft might be a fantastic play for puts. And it looks like, even if they do go down, they might retest somewhere around $26 or 226. So there's going to be good opportunity tomorrow with movement.
Sounds great. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to trade with Tom and I every single day, day trades, swing trades, and access to our bots, you can click the first link in the description down below for about $40 off. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. But other than that, thanks for watching.